Hello and welcome to Wine Festival Online. Thanks so much for tuning in.
We're Susie and Peter. We are masters of wine and we're also the co-founders of Wine Festival Winchester, which is now, of course, this year, it has transformed itself into Wine Festival Online.
Indeed it has. Now, coming up, James Hocking needs little introduction to any of you who've met him. He's a real character who specialises in fine wines from California.
Oh yeah, now James is nothing if not unpredictable, and he keeps sort of cropping up in all these different locations, and at times we feared for his life, didn't we?
Yeah, on the video he goes, well, we won't spoil it.
No, we're not going to spoil it, but just to tell you, he is made of stern stuff. Don't worry about him. And he's also a man that proves that real men can wear nail polish.
Indeed. He's
with
also
pizzazz.
Pizzazz, good word. He's also got the best production assistant
Oh.
ever in this video. We think BAFTA worthy.
Yeah, no.
Maybe.
Again, you've got to wait to see.
Anyway, on a serious note, California has obviously really suffered lately with its fires, so it's great to support them. And also, they're producing better wines than they've ever made, I think.
There's some amazing, and James really knows his stuff. So the wines that he has chosen are fantastic. Now, he tastes them in a slightly unusual order. So he's got his reds first and then his Chardonnay at the end. Really up to you. James wouldn't mind whatever order you want to taste in. If you want to crack open the Chardonnay and get going with that, absolutely fine. He's not going to worry at all. So see what you think.
The only thing I'd say is maybe just follow his lead in terms of the generous pours that he gives himself.
Oh yeah, nice big glasses, yeah.
So James is the expert on that.
Yeah.
Generous pour, that's the way forward. I think we just want to wrap up there by saying thank you very much to our sponsors, including our headline sponsor, Rathbones.
Yeah, don't forget that you can actually watch this video afterwards. It will be live afterwards, so you can catch up if you miss any bits of it. And there will also be another masterclass coming after it. So stay tuned.
And buy. James has some wonderful California wines. If you like these ones, buy them, of course. He's got many others, well worth checking out, many exclusives in the UK. So don't be afraid. We're thirsty. We need presents and we need things to drink this festive season. So do have a look at James Hocking's cellar.
Now, we need to mention the competitions very quickly.
Competitions. Details on the website. Not going to go into too much detail this time around.
If you've got any problems watching this video, just email hello@thewinefestival.co.uk, or you can contact us via social, and all the details are on the website.
Enjoy the James Hocking California Masterclass with none other than James Hocking.
Very warm welcome to the first in this series of wine tasting sessions as part of the Winchester Wine Festival and a mixed case offer that we're doing from our California wines. We thought we'd start here. It's the first part of our story of wine in the UK, certainly. Southampton Container Port behind me. This is where the wine arrives. We ship from California. It takes 28 days, roughly. By the time it goes through customs clearance and transport to the warehouse and so on, we're probably about 5 to 6 weeks off getting the wine from the vineyard onto your table. We ship in containers. You may see some white ones on the ship behind. The white ones are called reefers. So in the container itself, they have a fridge that you can set, so we can make sure that the temperature is consistent right the way through. We normally work at about 11 degrees C, which is about 50-55 degrees Fahrenheit. That makes sure cellar conditions really are observed from the start of the journey to the end. As an added backup, you can try and get your container below deck if you want, because obviously you don't want to be up on that top layer in the burning sunshine when you go to the Panama Canal. It won't do the wine any favours at all. So what are we tasting first? Merlot from Oak Knoll, Napa Valley. So can I get the map from the production assistant? Thank you. Here's a map. San Francisco's down here, about 50 miles south of Napa. Here's Oak Knoll, got a big region. Mainly red wine grapes, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon. There is some Chardonnay planted as well, and they do a pretty good job with that. But essentially, we would think of Napa as being a top-class red wine production region. Thank you very much. And this Merlot Well, it's actually 94% Merlot, 6% Cabernet Sauvignon there as well. But as long as over 75% of one grape is present, you don't have to label everything. You can just say it's one varietal. So you'll find that all the Cabernet Sauvignon wines, based wines in California, will have a percentage of Merlot or Petit Verdot or Malbec. But as long as the 75% rule is covered, you're fine. That's good. So where are we? Let's take a slightly bigger sip. Great colour. I mean, these wines are pretty rich. This is 14.5% alcohol. The wine is not light-bodied, and this is what California does best. Big blockbuster wines. The important thing about high alcohol is if you're going to have high alcohol, make sure you've got balance. It's key. Balance is really everything in the wine. Deep colour. We decanted this, double decanted it back in the bottle about an hour or so ago. And again, if you're going to be opening Merlot like this, then you need to give it a bit of air time in the glass. It's a recent vintage. We shipped 10 dozen of these into the UK. What am I tasting? What am I getting? Well, plum is the dominant character in Merlot. Any of you out there doing your WSET examinations, you'll know that as soon as you get asked a question in the exam paper about Merlot, your first thought process is Merlot, plum, Merlot. They go hand in hand. A bit of cedar here from the wood, coffee aromas, chocolatey, quite rich. Again, you know, the richness is an intrinsic part of the wine. It's what you pay your money for in the wine. Long finish. That wine keeps evolving in the mouth. I still have that taste sensation there. This is a very well made wine. Salinas make other reds as well. We have a Cabernet Sauvignon from them. They do also make a Chardonnay, which we also import. We've been working with these guys for about 18 months. Very, very happy with them. It's a great start to our tasting. We'll see you in another part of Hampshire shortly. And we thought we'd move on to Pinot Noir for the next one with Ferrari Carano and the Anderson Valley Pinot Noir. Anderson Valley is a sub-AVA, American viticultural area in Mendocino, Northern California. Where are we? Well, we're very far north in California. We've driven up through Napa. We'll keep going north, north, north. Anderson Valley is one of the most northerly part of California premium grape growing. They grow Chardonnay successfully as long as Pinot. And Louis Roederer, the sparkling wine house, they're up there making a quartet program. So it gives you an idea of what they do up there. It's kind of savoury, high acid, refreshing, fresh grapes. Pinot Noir, different grapes grow. It's very thin skinned, so lots of mildew and rot could be present in the vineyard, potentially damaging the fruit. So your vineyard manager needs to be totally spot on with what he's doing. And whilst the wine is full-bodied, it's still quite thin in colour. This is actually quite a dark colour for Pinot. It's a good effort, but it's a very thin-skinned grape. But please don't confuse with thin colour with thin body. Two very different things. So let's try the wine. I'm hoping for red fruit, strawberry, cherry, raspberry, that kind of thing. Touch of cedar. That's from the oak. I spent some time in French oak. Lovely kind of fresh nose, and I'm going to use the word fresh a lot in this. I have a real hangout with a New World Pinot Noir that's very confected, very jammy, overly fruit driven. Doesn't work for me at all. What I want are savoury, fresh notes. Well, a lovely streak of acid running through the wine. What would I eat with it? Well, Christmas around the corner, and a bottle of this on the table with Christmas turkey would be absolutely perfect. A goose would work well. Poultry of any sort actually would be a good match. It's good with seafood. Yeah, if you're into sea bass or monkfish or that kind of thing, that would be a good match. Because it's slightly lighter in appearance and maybe doesn't have the kind of full-on killer body that a Merlot or a Cabernet does have, then that would work well with a slightly lighter style of food. As I said earlier, one of our biggest wineries, 250,000 case production a year for Carneros. So this one is probably the most northerly wine they make in California. It's showing really well at the moment. 2016 as a vintage. Great year. 17 was the fire ravaged year. 16 the last good vintage that we've got in the marketplace to get access to. So we're trying to snap up any bottles of 16 that come our way. It's great wine. I think at this point we will move on and go to our warehouse and show you the next bottle. So, we've seen the wine arrive, or where the wine arrives. We've moved upriver slightly to taste some Ferrari Carano Pinot Noir. And now we're in the warehouse, which might explain this very corporate, health and safety compliant attire. Local warehouse for us is important. We've got our odd bottles, our 1s, 2s and 3s of ultra fine wine, ultra rare wine, the stuff that we can't replace. It's here so we can deliver the wine pretty much immediately if you live in the Hampshire, Wiltshire, Berkshire area. We can touch the bottles, which of course is quite important. And yeah, what can I show you? So, Camus, great producer, iconic Napa producer. Got some 97 here at the moment, special selection. Outpost, St. Helena, High Mountain, Zinfandel. Zinfandel, very underrated grape. Blanquet Estate. Paul Blanquet, this guy invented the process of making stonewashed denim jeans. If you don't believe me, check Wikipedia. One of our, well, actually our flagship winery, Ridgeye. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's towards the bottom end of Napa, down towards the Colbor vineyard, towards Atlas Peak. And here's something that's really quite odd for the UK. Strictly not for sale. This is Prager. It's Napa Valley port. Why is it legal? Well, it's port, so it should come from Portugal. However, this comes from Napa, but it's still called Culliter Tawny Port. You cannot print any label that doesn't equate to where the wine comes from. So Napa Valley Champagne, that's illegal. Napa Valley Port, that's illegal. I'm sure some of you may remember the Gallo labels back in the 70s. Hearty Burgundy, Hearty Chablis. Can't do it. Can't sell in the UK. So that's a interest only, hand luggage only type thing. So let's talk about the wine. White Lane. It's Treleone. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Zinfandel, Syrah and Merlot. Cabernet Sauvignon is a dominant grape. It's a Cabernet based wine. It's from St. Helena. Can I have the production assistant on set? Lovely, thank you very much. Here's our California map, or Napa Valley map. San Francisco remains down here, about 50 miles. There's not been any earthquakes recently, so we're good. It's still 50 miles. We're moving up here, California, Napa, 24 miles north to south, roughly 2 or 3 miles east to west, the widest point. St. Helena is up here. That's where the wine is from. There are some vineyards in Rutherford as well, but essentially we're toward this part of Napa is where the wine comes from. What am I expecting? Well, Whitehall Lane are known for making well-balanced, quite viscous, quite big, quite rich wines. This is another 14.5%. So it's not the aperitif, it's the main course. It's the venison, the ribeye, the porterhouse steak. This is where we are. I would suspect that seafood would not go awfully well with this wine. What am I tasting? What am I smelling? Cedar. Cedar really is the wood. That's the oak shining through. Deep, dark, black fruit. Cassis, creme de cassis. Not jammy at all. This is dry. This is a dry red wine. Good acid. And I'm going to mention acid a lot. It's the most important thing. As long as that cuts through the wine. Which black, dark, deep fruit. White Lane are good at this kind of thing. They make a number of wines. Trillione is one of the more popular ones. There's also a single estate, single vineyard Merlot they do as well that we stock that works exceptionally well. We've been working with them for a number of years. This is a 2016 vintage, great vintage in California. Works really well. I guess at this point I should also say thanks to Damien and Justine at California Wines UK. If they've been a great help in supporting our videos that we've been doing. This is the first time we've done a virtual wine tasting event, so I hope you're all joining in out there. And we will see you on the next tasting session shortly. So we're here at Hotel de Van in the back garden. Why are we in Winchester anyway? Well, it's the home of Wine Festival Winchester, normally. Hotel de Van is the home of wine in Hampshire, and has been for many, many years, so it's a great place to be. But it's also where we host our wine schools, our wine masterclasses, which we are continuing with towards the back end of this year, and we've got an exciting plan for 2021 to do more. We were going to do it throughout the year, but we all know what happened, and that's, I think, took a bit of a halt. But we're back. Now, normally we would serve Chardonnay as the first wine in our 4-bottle tasting because we've done the other grapes. But we want to save also, Miss Claire, the general manager at Hotel de Van here, is a bit of a Californian Chardonnay fan. So we thought you might like to try and tell me what you think. Where are we? We're Waterstone Vineyards. We're in Los Carneros. So you've got San Francisco, the Bay Area. Los Carneros is a bit of land that abuts Napa Valley and Sonoma County down towards the Bay Area. Very cool climate. Works great for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. A lot of really good top flight North American vineyards are based there. So we're going to have a quick look at this one now. Now, what are we thinking? Should be clean, should be fresh. There's a slight creaminess about the wine, yeah? Mm-hmm. Has anyone discussed malolactic fermentation at all with your wine tasting? So, two types of acid in wine. Malic acid is quite a harsh acid. It bites into a green apple and it's that kind of tart, almost bitter sensation. That's malic acid. But if you actually transfer that acid into lactic acid, the kind of acid that's found in butter, cream, milk, it softens the wine out. It just helps the body, takes the sharp edges off the wine and gives it a lovely kind of buttery, savoury note. A lot of tropical fruit in the wine, the mango, and I often get a bit of vanilla, tiny bit of spice from new French oak. And again, as we said before, French oak the best. This has seen a small percentage of new French wood alongside older casks.
What would you serve this with, James?
So if you're a seafood fan, scallops and a cream sauce would be a great match. It can cope with the creaminess. It's a big, rich wine. Poultry, Christmas is not that far away. Turkey, I mean, a bottle of Chardonnay on the table with the turkey is perfect. And duck. It's big, it's rich, and therefore you could probably get away with a lot of different types of food.
So you could work it with like cranberry sauce.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Christmas lunch is a funny one to get right because there are so many flavour combinations. There are potatoes, there is stuffing, there is turkey, there's all these things. So it's great to have a nice, rich, mouth-filling, mouth-coating wine to go with it all. And Chardonnay works well. Pinot Noir would as well. We talked about that in a recent tasting. But very clean, very crisp, very fresh. We have about 10 dozen bottles of the 16 in the UK. Well-known, well-respected vintage in recent Californian years. Obviously 2017 is when the first of the big fires struck. But 16 is going down as a really kind of benchmark vintage for Northern California.
So how much are a bottle of this costing? So
if you're buying a bottle, you're looking at about 25 quid. However, the mixed case deal that we have on at the moment for the wine festival is £99. That gets you the Merlot, the Pinot Noir, the White Touraine Traileone, and the Waterstone Chardonnay, all the wines that we've been trying in this session. So not bad value, and it gives you a great introduction to exactly what Northern California can do.
And is there an order that you would suggest people try the wines in when?
It's largely up to you. Normally we say sparkling wine, then white wine, then rosé wine, then red wine, then dessert wine. However, whatever you like. I know some people are red wine fans out there, so you'll want to go right into the Cabernet Sauvignons and so on. But essentially, if we were doing something at home, we would have an aperitif, which would be a glass of something white, and then we move on to the reds. Maybe start with Pinot Noir first, and finish with something like Zinfandel, Cabernet Sauvignon.